You're gonna have to just start talking.
Okay, just as a reminder to everyone, the Open Meetings Act rules and regulations are on the wall next to the door. Can I get a motion for the approval of the minutes from the February meeting, please?
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Before standing business, we would like to move the new business, the audit, to the top of the agenda so our auditors don't have to suffer through the rest. So if I could get a motion to change the agenda to move the new business to the next item.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, let's do the audit.
Okay, well, my name is Brad Yoder. I'm with Hayes & Associates. We're your audit firm for the audit of your financial statements, which is provide an opinion on the financial statements to whether they're fairly stated. And so thank you again for having us here and having us perform the audit. And we performed the field work back in February and then tied things down with your accounting department throughout March for any open items. So we had Lynette Allen, our manager, who she was the one that reviewed the work on the audit and was on site with our staff during that time. And so I'm going to give the floor to her to go through our required communications to the board. And Lynette, go ahead and take it away.
Thanks, Brad. Like Brad said, I was the manager on the job. I've been with Hayes for 10 years. And I've worked on DOTComm before, probably in 2006, I think it was, way back. And then this year I was back on DOTComm. Just overall, I want to thank the staff at DOTComm for being able to give us all the information on time and giving us a good product to work with. So just overall, we're really grateful for that. But in terms of communication to your board, we need to let you know certain things. That is what is in the PowerPoint presentation that you have. We audited the December 31st, 2016 year-end financials, and we are required by the auditing standard, the government auditing standard, to make sure that we provide you with certain information. Just to let you know, some of our responsibilities under general accepted auditing standard is that we, what happened during that audit, one of the main things is to look at the significant estimates in the financial statement for this year. Some of the assumption that management has made were items such as the useful lives of the capital assets, including your software, which, and then the other two is the execution of hours of software projects, valuation of software project costs. So those are some of the estimates that are in your financial. And we really have to look at that to make sure that those estimates, the procedure that you use are correct and within the government auditing standards. So turn to page 4. So one of the other things that we have to make sure is that you use appropriate accounting policies that management use, and we check that to make sure that it's in line with GASB, which is a government auditing standard. One of most of your main accounting policies is in Note A of the financial, which I assume you guys have had some time to look over that. If there's any question on that, you can just stop me at any time. So Note A have all your accounting policies, and we noted no transaction that we couldn't substantiate everything. We had sufficient evidence on those transactions, so there was nothing that was not in the proper authoritative guidance. So everything was within the normal scope of the accounting principles. All significant transactions have been recognized in the financial statement in the proper period. That was something that we looked at very closely. And then the financial statement disclosure considered to be neutral, consistent, and clear. Hopefully you find it clear as well, as we did. We're happy to let you know that there was no disagreement with management. We worked really well with both Tracy and Bridget. And so that was good that we were able to go through everything and not have any kind of disagreement. In some cases, the management may decide to look at other firms just to get some other knowledge on certain transaction or anything else that they may think they need to, but in this case, we didn't have any of those. In terms of adjusting entries, we didn't really have, well, we had a lot of adjusting entries, but that was not adjusting entries that we made. Those were adjusting entries that Bridget made due to the timing of the trial balance. We got the trial balance a little bit early, so we can start pulling information. And then there was a lot of adjusting entries after that, but they were all client related. It was not adjusting entries that we as the firm had to make. In terms of reclassing entries, there were none of those either. There were some, but they were all from Bridget. So the only thing we had was one past adjusted entry because it was so immaterial. We passed on it. It was nothing material, so we didn't really make the entry. We just talked about it. And the other thing was the MD&A, which is what Bridget put together. Government auditing standard. We have to look at the MD&A, which is your management discussion and analysis. So we looked at those in the context of, we don't audit the MD&A, but we looked at it in the context of what's in the financial. And we applied just limited procedure to those. Then the other thing is the supplemental information, which is your budgetary comparison and related notes. We also look at those, just limited as well, just to make sure that they are in compliance with what's in the financial, everything agreed. And then in our opinion, the schedule and the related notes are clearly stated in all materials to the basic financial statements. And this is the main piece of the audit, is to give our opinion. And in this case, we had an unmodified opinion on the financial statements. In other words, it was a clean opinion. We didn't have any findings. Anything that came up during the audit, we actually discussed those with Bridget, and none was significant enough to bring to your attention. One of the things that's not in this, but we kind of talked about it, I think I missed that, but yeah, was the change, the presentation change. We did change the presentation of the financial a little bit because of the accounting, the way the chargeback was accounted for. And that, this year, there was not a comparative statement because of that, because if you wanted to show comparative, you would have had to record the last financial and then reissue it, and there would have been a lot of work. So instead of doing a comparative, we just did 1 year presentation, but that was all because of no B in the financial, which is for the chargeback. I don't know if anybody has any question on how that was done.
One thing I'll add is just related to that. We had a lot of discussion with Bridget, Tracy, and your organization, just that we reviewed that again, show how the chargeback was presented, and so there's no additional revenues being included with that process. So we moved it to being shown as an agency transaction. So really you're just seeing on your statement of net position what the balance is of assets that the organization has purchased for the city of the county, and that way it's not showing up in the statement of change in that position. So hopefully that's something that the organization, I think, will makes your financials look more clear as well. I think that's how they had presented it to us, and we said, yeah, that looks like that would be appropriate. So thank you for entertaining us and allowing us to entertain you for this few minutes here. And again, we'd be more than welcome to answer any questions that you have for us as the auditors. And again, thank you for your time.
So Brad,
Yes.
the assumptions regarding the reclassification of chargebacks is that it's a flow-through transaction where there's no assets acquired by DOTComm in the process.
Correct. The only assets that DOTComm has is just the ones that they haven't received, basically received reimbursement for charge base and gotten the charge back.
Okay.
So what's on, and the balance was so small at the end of 2015 that we didn't need to make any kind of adjustment to. There was no adjustment needed to your net position.
Any other questions?
Do we need to wait?
Go ahead and do it.
Do we?
Vote to accept it.
Accept it. So call for a motion, yes. Can I get a motion to accept the audit, please?
I'll make that motion. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you again for putting us in front. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Brad.
Ready to go?
Okay.
All right. I just have a couple of slides today. These are what we've been getting used to seeing in terms of the categories of work, and just as far as few things of note. If you'll see over on the chart on the right where the percentage, for example, the purple color, the admin is going down. That is a good thing, but I would not view that as a trend. I think that's largely because we had some holidays in January and February, so I expect that to come back up. The thing of note that's probably most important for you though is just the green and the blue there, the service requests and the projects. That's a very healthy percentage of the work, and it continues to be. That is where it's doing direct work for you guys. So that's where we're looking at. Also, the maintenance, the yellow, is higher than it has been. That was an area of focus for this year, so we're trending where we wanted to be there. This just shows a split of what we call the direct support hours. So it takes out the maintenance and the admin, but it shows a split between the county and the city, and then the shared. This is where the cost model drives that. So year to date through March, 41% of the hours were used by the city, 59% by the county. The cost model had put it at 47% city, 53% county. So we're a little heavy county right now, but you can see that a lot of that is due to that big project volume in there. Yeah. Pardon me?
Could you go back one slide?
Sure.
Could you just characterize for me so I understand what's included in administrative time?
So what is in administrative time is basically anything that cannot be charged directly to a ticket. So your typical admin, days off, project meetings, training, that kind of thing.
Okay, so just curious, so
Yeah.
if I have a formalized approved project and I'm scheduling time for team members to attend that project meeting, is that administrative time or project time?
Project time.
Okay, thank you. So
And one
it's-
other thing of note that we changed for 2017 is that we took out the group of people that had generally been 100% admin, finance, HR, the executive leadership team, because we felt that skewed it. So for 2017, that with those folks in there, that number was significantly higher. So these are people who are directly working for the city.
Gotcha, thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Any questions on this?
And so originally it was estimated as 4753.
4753 is what came out from the cost model, and that's what we'll be tracking to. So every month, looking at that. As you remember, we've seen in past years that ebbs and flows throughout the year. The city actually had a big chunk of hours in March that kind of caught it up. They were a little bit behind. Still a little bit behind, but that will. There's a queue of projects that will probably be driving that going forward. Any other questions on that? This last slide is just the final slide for the 2018 cost model. If you remember, we kicked that off last year, but the last piece of that is getting that final budget approved, which is scheduled for the June Oversight Committee. And then we actually already have the project request in for the 2019 cost model, and that'll be kicking off in that June timeframe. So we'll be working on that going forward. Any questions?
And we have projects. Something to just note and to say, in the last month, on April 1st, we eliminated all the projects in Sharewell, and we are now, all of our projects are in Salesforce, and we are managing the project tracking and the hours and everything in Salesforce. So that was a good milestone for us. Bucket hours, you can see we are, we're 23% of the year, and we're a little bit light on the city, a little bit light on shared, and as the slide before showed, a little bit heavy on the county. And here's a split of those bucket hours. The county had 28 different projects, the city 20, and shared had 15. Same projects are kind of leading the way, certainly for the county. We still have GTL in there. And you can see Oracle Treasury. That's something that VJ's team's been working on the last month or so, and we've been hitting that heavy. So here's our new projects. That chart looks a little bit goofy. We had kind of a spike in both shared and city projects that came in, and the county kind of dropped this time. That one, as we know, ebbs and flows as well. And then all projects are staying consistent with what they have been. And this just shows individually the city and the county, their active pending and estimate projects, again, staying in their kind of swim lanes as well as to what we've been averaging. End of a quarter last month, so here's our closed projects report. Nothing too exciting here to show other than our axes are not quite as spread out, so all the circles are a little bit more bunched, which is a good thing. We aren't having as many of those outliers where we've said, oh, we took way more time than we thought, or we took more hours or less hours. So overall, very good. One here, this one took a little more time with EPCR, but that one, it's still a fairly new app, and so every time we go to upgrade that, until we've done it multiple times, I think we see some of that happening. But overall, good results from our projects. We're getting better at our estimating, which is a good thing. List of the projects. We completed the faster upgrade, and as far as the shared services, and we'll talk about some of the bigger shared services here. We've got our Amazon web migration. We completed the veterans website last month. We did have to readjust the district court is pushed again. Again, that one is dependent on another project. That project is in process. So until that project gets completed, the district court website will not go live. But we are done and ready to go when that happens. And then we had the health department. We've been working with Tim on several projects and trying to get the content and get things done on that. So we're working the process to get that done. Added a few new websites. Overall, I think things are going, and we're continuing to work with customers and complete websites as we can. I know that Diane is very anxious for us to get to a couple so that she can get the county home site, and we're very cognizant of that and working with the team to get to that place too. SQL, this is that project that, keep in mind, it's a program, and we're doing applications as they come up. We have, the red ones are the ones that are in progress, and we have several that are in progress. And I would anticipate that if things go right, several of those will come off in the next month or two. So slow bits, of progress. As we can combine things, that's what we're doing. So we're still making good progress there.
Can somebody remind me again why the budget app is not an exception? You've told me this before, but I can't remember off the top of my head.
There are a lot of custom procedures that Citara has written in the older version of SQL that's not compatible. You can break the app, but you go upgrade, so she has to go
And rewrite them.
rewrite.
Okay. And now we're right in the middle of budget, so she's not going to do that till after we have a budget. Got it. I knew there was a reason. I just couldn't remember what it was. Thank you.
And here's the Salesforce. We are in the middle of the CMDB Phase 2, and we'll be kicking off Phase 3 here soon. The PPM interim solution, this will close. As I said, we got everything into Salesforce. Things went really well. VJ's team did just a great job of getting all the fields in there and all the things that, and the pieces and the parts that we needed. We're hopeful that we'll have some really good dashboards that we can use in the future, and we've been working on that. So even though it's an interim solution, we actually got a kick up, and it's better than what we had, and I think we have better information and visually can see more information. So it's been a good step, but the next, we do need to continue to find something where we can do our scheduling, putting our tasks and our milestones all in a system where they are dependent on each other, and you can actually manage a schedule within the tool. That's the next phase for us.
I think we talked about this last time. Please refresh my memory. Were you looking at adding project forecasting as part of this long-term solution as well? The ability to slot types of resources so you know when a project can start?
Absolutely.
Okay.
That is absolutely where we want to get to.
Please let me know when you solve that.
Okay.
Which is one of the reasons we like Salesforce as an ecosystem, because we thought if ever there was a chance to get that done, Tim, it would
Built
be
it
having all
yourself.
that in one place.
Yeah.
So that
Because the
continues to be our-
tools, the marketable tools to buy just don't do a good job of forecasting.
That's what makes this really tough. And we thought we had a tool that we could, and then as we dug into it, obviously we found that it's just not going to do what we needed. So we're kind of back to the drawing board, and VJ's putting his research hat on, and we're really looking at all kinds of options on how do we get to that place.
Again, I thought we talked about that last time.
Yeah. And then VoIP projects. Randy Pauly and the voice team with John Hendricks and Andy Judkins, they just continue to do a bang-up job and knock these projects out. And we have Mo River, which is the current project. This one, we have said, is going to be a little bit of a beast. It's bigger than all the other projects, most of the other projects we've done, and we're finding that. So this one is chugging a little slower than what the others have churned. So, but we will, as we always have, forge through it, and we'll get it done, and everybody will be happy in the end. But
Is CIP funding any of the VoIP projects?
no,
I mean CIP for the city or
No.
CIP?
it's all departments coming up with the money.
And are you getting much feedback on VoIP?
What we hear is good. People like it. It's been reliable. So,
And our install base just obviously
Yeah.
Yeah.
projects keep getting bigger and bigger. The support is great. Yeah. The only clarification I would say is we do the main maintenance of the system with the CIP, but the individual installations that are happening here are funded by the department.
yeah.
Hey, Derek, are you guys also doing, basically bringing together a single voicemail system as well, or is that still siloed?
Well, if you're on the VoIP system, it's all together. But that our strategic direction is to get everybody on VoIP, and that takes care of that. But we have not taken that step to try to then bring those other voicemail systems together. Our strategic action is to get everybody.
So as people roll out, they'll be on the central voicemail
Exactly.
system. Any directory integration with that?
I say that
Any
again.
directory information?
There is on the phones. Yep.
Okay.
We're integrated with our Active Directory.
Okay.
So-
But that's all, whenever they go VoIP, they get all that?
Right. And they get a whole different suite of
Functionality.
options.
Okay.
You can get your voicemail in your inbox now, and your email inbox. We have a mobile client that they can use
Yep.
too for call rates. So that's where we've chosen to invest our time and energy is in getting people to that platform.
I'm sorry, the platform?
Short.
Short term.
Short time. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And and I would say, Libby, when you ask how are people liking it, the ability to get their voicemails right into their email is one huge, as well as just the directories on the phone. You hit directory and you type somebody's name and you get their phone number. No more having to go look in something else. It's right there on the phone. So those are probably the two things we hear a lot of. God, just love this.
It also creates an incentive for migration.
Yep.
It does.
We've seen that curve. I mean, we seeded the money through capital to get a few people going, and then it was a little stagnant there for a while, and then as more people get it, we've seen that start the ball start. It's good.
Yeah, this is truly one where we just keep on rolling a new project in every time we put one out. So it's been great. Douglas County projects, we completed 2 projects, the Justice Lease as well as the Community Mental Health Detox Center that was implemented in the last month. And we continue to work on the other projects. That, if you remember when I said the Clerk of the District Court's website is dependent, I believe, on this project right here. And we are looking at
I think
that.
you're talking about the Court of Admin website, DC4DC. Or is
Okay,
it
yes.
mine too?
Yes.
I think
No.
mine's not even.
You're right. I said
hasn't
it wrong.
switched
It
yet,
is
has it?
DC4DC. Yeah.
Yeah.
So District Court.
Mine has not
Yeah.
come up yet. I
Not
don't
Clerk
think.
of the District Court. District Court
Yeah.
4. So, but that's the project that it's dependent on. And then lastly, we have the city portfolio, and 2 VoIP projects were completed. But we're making headway, getting closer on this, and very close on this project. We're not spending any time at all on Deb's HCM and payroll implementation. We're very close. DOTComm HR is very close now with the city HR. We're having a blast. So budget app, that's coming into the final stages, obviously being ready for the city budget. So lots of good stuff.
How close are we with the OPD video storage?
We keep adding things to that. Last I heard, we were adding the precincts, those outside cameras. So we're to the place where we're probably close to say the project probably is done because the system is now up, and now we're just taking new things and putting it in. So we're going to do that analysis to see, every new option to put onto that system, does it need to be a project or should it be a ticket?
Great, thanks.
Curious. Yes.
How long are you guys keeping your video?
Depends.
Really clear answer.
That was helpful.
Okay. I won't ask for any clarification.
No.
Well, then I'll go ahead and.
Yeah.
All right, so this was 2016. In June, we'll bring forward the 2017, hopefully by then, and have projects associated with that. All the money has been accounted for and or encumbered for the 2016 projects. The last ones that we have to do are the second core switch will be in the next project for Brad's team, so that's kicking off. Operations, tech center hosting. I was hoping to have that number much higher this month, but I will be happy to say that this weekend they are moving in a number of units. So when we come back, you'll see more in for next month as we report, and then many more for June, I hope. So that is moving forward. P7 for mainframe operations. We did get the storage installed down there. So the secondary storage is in Lincoln. It is operational. We are replicating to it now. So it is good. So we have our primary here and our secondary down there. It was, if you recall, out at 911. So now we do have a good separation between the locations. And then that P7, now that it's hooked up, we will get that P7 hooked up to the storage that's down there. And then we'll have a backup then for the P7 server. So we had 3 outages, P2s for March. We go into ticket summaries. So this is the 3 outages between the teams. P1s, 2s, P3s, and then we highlight the SLAs where we breached, and then which team breached. fluors, and PFAS. So we are developing the monthly comparative for the SLAs, so we'll have that in there for next month, so you'll be able to see the breakdowns. So for the tech services support desk, FCRs are coming back down, so we're leveling off a little bit. So which is the new system, everybody getting used to the Salesforce and coming back in. We expect that number to come back up into the 40s. Abandon rate increased a little bit. During this period of time, we had a few more people off the service desk due to vacations and other issues. So people had to wait on the calls a little bit longer, so that drove the abandon rate up a little bit. I do want to draw your attention to the survey response. So when we started, kicked off the year, our surveys, 7 and 9, so that 7I is 7 incidents and 7 service requests for people responding to the surveys of how did we do. We looked at why we weren't looking or why we weren't getting the responses. And in our response, when we sent out the email, so if you open a ticket and you close it and the ticket gets closed, you get sent a survey request and say, hey, your ticket's been closed. But that survey request was all the way at the bottom, and it was really small font. We made it as small as possible on the initial rollout, which was not good for us. So in March, we went ahead and we moved it to the top of the email and increased the size, which then drove the response rates significantly. So we see that we have 18 and 53 responses. So we're hoping that we continue to see that. Again, as you talk to your peers and the other departments out there, please encourage them to, if they do get the survey, respond to the survey. And if we do take those serious, we do respond to them. If they come back unsatisfactory, we do investigate those. Great.
How are you defining first contact versus first call resolution?
Right now, we are not, so we have the FCR, which is our first call resolution. We're not tracking first contact yet. We're not set up just yet. But the first call is when the unit, when the person calls in with the issue. If they are able to satisfy the request or the issue at the time of the call, then it gets marked as a first call.
Okay, so assuming there's no triage to another team member or another
That is
team,
correct.
that's first call.
Yep.
Okay.
If it's resolved on the desk. Yep.
No.
In the world we live in, yes, we want to get to a place where that call could get transferred and dealt with, but if they never leave that phone call, that's first call.
Okay.
Right. But right now that's not happening. They're all being handled at the service desk. But we want to be able to send high priority issues directly to a level 2 guy.
So if you're able to synchronously move that call to somebody who can handle it while we still have the customer on the line,
Then we have
that's
first
still
contact.
Okay, gotcha. Thank
So,
you.
and that's the piece that we're working on with the other teams, building up that queue so that we can get availability within those other teams that we can transfer the call and have that level 2, level 3 person then resolve that issue for them.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Bob, what's on the axis on the left and right? Can you explain what those are again? 10, 20, 30, 40, and 500, 1,000?
So these are the percentage. So
Okay.
the percentage of between your abandon rate and first call resolution. And then
Gotcha.
the right side numbers are the number of calls. So we had just under about 2,400 calls for the month. We had then, if you follow this, just under about 38% first call resolution. And then we had just above 11%. So then they're reflected up here in the regular numbers.
Okay, thanks.
Monthly customer satisfaction scores, again, we track this ongoing. So the first or the current month is here, and then you see a year behind. Any questions? Thank you.
What I'm going to show you today is the public-facing spend analytics dashboard that we put on for the city and county. So we just rolled out last month, end of March, this public-facing supply report for the city and the county. So it currently has 2016 data. So and the the numbers have been validated by the city finance and the Douglas County Clerk's office here. So what basically is any payments made to suppliers out there, you can go find those on this dashboard. And it's kind of, we defaulted it to, we've broken it down by the month, but from January to December here, but you can change the, how you want to move rows and columns across. And then you can also, it's easy to find even any suppliers you want. So if they're looking for any supplier, it's a lot easier for you to go search any supplier right here. So in the old on the website, it was we had 62 pages of HTML pages sorted by alphabetically order. It was very difficult to find a vendor and then drill down to an invoice. Now you can do a search either from here or here, find a vendor and go directly to the invoice and find out what that information is about. So we have right now we have check date, check number, the account description, what org it was charged to, what the check number is, what the payment amount is, and what the supplier is. And going forward, we're going to add more data to this. We're going to add, make it current. We'll go populate with January, February, March data as well, and then also provide some drill down capabilities to go a little more invoice level data you can go in.
Someplace, or are we going to have a third category of DOTComm payments to vendors?
Yes, we will add those. Right now, this is just city and county. The only reason I think we didn't put .com is because for the chargebacks, it has city and county amounts are we overstated.
On the public facing, but internally.
We'll do
We
something.
can see all
We'll have our information at some point in time.
We'll work with Bridget and Tracy. So right now, this is from the county clerk's site, and then we also have a similar data on the city as well. It's kind of easy. You can do it here, filter here. If you're looking for an invoice, from small amount, whatever the amount you want to look in, you can narrow down the search here. You can kind of eliminate the columns you want to see. You can say, I'm not interested in this column. You can just uncheck those; they'll go away, and you can create, custom filters as well. So it's kind of very useful and handy. You can get the data pretty quickly. And you can even change the layout of the graph and kind of plot it the way you want it. So, any questions on this one?
When did this roll out?
End of March.
March.
It's on the county clerk's page. I think we're going to start putting in on the county website page as well.
Both organizations did press release and stuff. Sit down with the county.
And it's on the city finance page as well. That's all I have.
All right, got 3 slides to go through with you guys today. First thing I wanted to do is give an update on the security enhancements RFP. We're working hard on that one right now, validating all of our recommendations. So we had hardware and software specifically on there. We had 6 different areas, and we're going through with each service team and saying, is this the correct solution? What is our timeline in getting all those items figured out? We want to make sure that we provide cost-effective options, and they're exactly what we need. A few of the RFP responses, for example, came back with potentially more than we would need, and we don't want to do that. We want to get exactly what you are required for compliance, and it's going to be efficient for us. So an example of one of those roadmaps is the identity and access management one here, and each of those areas is going to have them, and we're going to present it to IT coordinators as well as all of management. So this down here, I'm just going to show you the security timeline from my point of view of when we're going to start doing more learning about what different products are out there, selecting a product as well as doing some POC concepts. The discovery is the discovery phase of when the vendor comes and does managed services with DOTComm to determine what the scope of the project is, what how much the different items are going to cost, as well as the building. And when this is the area that is post sales that'll be included. This is assumed to be pre-sales type of engagement. So this particular one is the we put down for a Q3 2018 finish line. And now some of those areas as we deploy this tool are going to come sooner than later. But that particular one was for our CGIS response we have with OPD for the FBI for multi-factor authentication. For operational metrics, we split everything into different categories, and we're starting to track each individual item so that at the end of the year we'll have quarterly numbers for each of these different areas. Walk through it on the security metrics meeting, which if you guys remember, I split my stakeholders meeting into two groups. One was still the security stakeholders, that would be the city county employees, and then the other one was the security metrics. So this is how we split it up into security operations. This is the work the security analyst mine Kevin does every day. Some of the scanning of the log files, all the different types of things that we've added to the workload, as well as how we're doing on desktop patching appliance, server patching, and other items. So this is expanded from what it was before, and they're all areas that we'll be able to track numbers against. A couple of interesting items on here, like Tracy brings up projects every time we have a meeting here. There's also a couple of projects that the security team specifically wants to keep track of. One of those initiatives is the VPN migration. So our laptops and others, how we're doing on that particular project of moving all the users to the new VPN solution. As well as we have a server 2008 upgrade and Windows 10 upgrade projects that are both in their infancy right now, and making sure that those come along. Those particular two ones right there, we've got about 33, 34 months before the end of life for those projects with Microsoft, but there's quite a bit of work associated with them. So an example of one of the metrics here then is just the patching needs. This is based off of the network vulnerability scanning that we do from DOTComm. This is one of the metrics that I've actually got the data going back many years. So I've got from November 2014 to April 2017. And I just want to describe this chart as not being as bad as it looks, that we haven't done anything, that it's increasing over time. But what it says to me is that we still have a host, that being a server or a PC, and it still has something that is vulnerable against it. So we've made great strides in getting the PCs mostly patched, but they may still have a Firefox update that needs to be done, or they may still have an outdated version of something. So it's just a reminder to me that we need to continue to work towards those areas, and that there's still items out there that need to be fixed up. As I mentioned, the total number of vulnerabilities have dropped, or our attack surface is smaller now, but we still have some work to do.
Eric, how do you manage the accountabilities across the organization? Because obviously the security team is helping to identify vulnerabilities and threats to those, but then those get pushed as accountabilities to different parts of the organization to actually mitigate those?
It's mixed, right? So if Greg's identifying, for instance, a few years ago we were doing if we did patching, it was you got a new PC maybe.
Yeah.
We now have a monthly patching where we're updating the operating system. We gradually added additional things to that, like Adobe and some of those things. But as Greg mentioned, browsers are a perfect example. We still haven't mandated a specific browser and add a specific version. That's probably coming, right? So there's the things that we can control and take over as part of our deployment, but you mentioned a project like upgrading our server environment or getting to Windows 10 on the end user PCs. There's a lot of dependencies on the city and county departments to get off old applications or put a project in to make that application compatible. So I think it's a shared responsibility. We've tried to, if it's patching to the PC or the server environment, that's on us, and that's things we've continued to grow that scope to try to reduce that risk. But you're absolutely right. We are dependent on the end users to be cooperative and saying, okay, we've got this app only works in Windows 7. We got to get you up to compatibility version to work on Windows 7.
Are you finding that Obviously, you're working through a whole new platform in terms of delivering services, and that makes great sense. Are you finding, though, that some of the vulnerabilities are tied to legacy systems, that until you get through those upgrades, you have to find a workaround?
Right, and Greg had some charts not so long ago about when we took our Windows XP portfolio down dramatically, and the influence that had on our vulnerabilities, et cetera.
Sure.
I mean, but that cycle never ends, right?
Oh,
When we do that, now we're talking Windows 10. And so we found that managing the scope of that is very challenging. Greg just put in those projects you mentioned very proactively to say we can't get caught on our heels. We've got to get in front of that. But we have seen a reduction in those vulnerabilities, but Greg's chart shows that they're still there. They're still, you solve one issue, there's another one right behind it.
This was the one example, and I picked on the one area we were doing that we need to make improvements upon. But some of the other charts, if you can see the number of legacy operating systems in the desktop environment, we're down to about 25 Windows XP machines that we're still tracking.
Gotcha.
Everything's been very good in that area. Patching, twice a month we're patching right now, one for third party and one for Microsoft products. So that's going pretty good. We've got an early bird program that has been successful in helping us determine problems within the customer's environments. It goes to one or two people in that department versus everyone all of a sudden getting it and said we can't, so we've got kind of that beta testing as well.
Okay, thanks. I appreciate that explanation.
Any other questions? All right, financials.
You bet. Our financials, we are a quarter of the way through the year. And we are a quarter of the way almost on our expenses, so we are right on target. Our income from the Office of the CIO continues to grow. That's our receivables. Again, we're working with everybody on these. This is one we're working on. And we're working on city HR&R. We've got a lot going on there, and I think we have some things that just we need to sit down and spend a little time with them. But overall, not a bad picture. Looks that way. And cash balance is good. And chargebacks still continuing at the rate we were last year. I don't think we've seen an increase from this year to last year, which is kind of nice. We're seeing a leveling off, I think, which is kind of nice. And then the 2018 budget, we are in the finalization process. We have reviewed the budget with the county, and we are scheduling with the city to go through with those folks. And the budget will be here in June for you all to look at. So exciting stuff, I know. Just a way to kick off the summer, right?
All right, we've had a couple new hires in the last couple months. Dave Delmont joined Amy Park's team as a new tech support tech for us. Edward Avia is a new mobile data support tech. He's taken over for Jason, right? Jason Ryan, who's one of our terms who left to focus on school. He was in our mobile data area. We quickly backfilled him with Edward. Sadvika, that's a name you might have heard. She's been a contractor for us working on Salesforce. We brought her on full time. And then Elizabeth Aguilera is part of our scanning team, and so she's doing it. One other term that we have is Gaurav, who was on our Oracle team, decided to move on to another opportunity, and we're working on backfilling him right now. So there's some of the names you kind of hear around our organization, so we had quite a few moves in the last 2 months. Okay. All right.
Derek, I might have missed it, but did you talk about the interns?
No. I toyed with bringing that up, but I'd rather bring it up when they're here. But
Yeah.
we'll talk about it. So for those of you that don't know, and I think we've talked about it offline, well, for the first time we have a formal internship program at DOTComm this summer. So we put out a call for interns about a month and a half ago. We got 80 applicants, which is terrific for us. And so we're reviewing those applicants now. We've got a number of areas. We've targeted about 3 or 4 where we can bring in folks. Great for them to get experience, great for us to have a new set of eyes on some of our processes, and so we think that's a win-win. And we're hoping we can even bring some of them to the Oversight Committee here in a couple months and have them see how this process works, introduce them to that as well too. So we're really excited about that. That's something we had kind of earmarked to do a few years ago, but we really wanted to get to a place of maturity where that made sense. So they're going to be helping us with security, with the desktop team, with doing some business analysis, and that's really exciting. We're real excited. All right. Innovation topics, we don't have anything for this month. Greg's we've talked about identity and access management before, but we're gonna bring that back around in June just because it's part of the security project, and our overall schedule is here. Joe, you asked about blockchain, we're gonna talk about that in July. Internet of Things is something we've got earmarked, and then with the technical fair, we always talk about the latest technology in October, and then by then we should have hopefully a pretty good feel for political season and where that's at. If you have any topics or there's something else out there that you hear about, let us know. We'll squeeze it into the agenda. Okay? I believe that's the end of what we had since we moved the audit to the front of it. Oh, reminder, just on the schedule. We don't have a meeting in May. June, we'll have a budget approval, officer nominations, and officer elections in July. All right?
Are there any public comments at this time? Okay, I would like to read an email. And some of you guys have already known this because I sent it to the board and to some individuals, some of the managers over in DOTComm, and I think they've shared this with everybody. But if not, here you go. On April 3rd, there was an email that was sent to Derek. It says, Mr. Cruz, allow me to introduce myself. I am Dr. Jim Herod of the University of Nebraska at Omaha and currently president of the Nebraska chapter of the American Society for Public Administration. Each year we hold a learning seminar and we also take an opportunity to recognize those who have contributed to public service. This year, one of your colleagues, Dr. Yu Chen of the University of Nebraska at Omaha, nominated you for the award of Public Administrator of the Year, and our board agrees with his assessment of your contributions. We would be honored if you would attend our award ceremony, and this was last Friday, April 14th, at the Community Engagement Center on the campus of UNO. So, yet another award that Derek has been recognized for. So, just wanted to share that with everybody.
Thank you, Deb. It was a really nice event. We had quite a few people there, and it was just a reminder of what a team effort this is and everybody working together. We've come a long way, so thank you.
Alrighty, our next meeting will be June 21st in this room at 2:30. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed?